Hey there, meteorologist Jamie Singleton. You're watching me right after a workout at the gym. So if you probably usually look somewhat disheveled when I do these sometimes, and I definitely haven't showered today. I'm all sweaty and grimy, so you pardon that. But I wanted to come in here before I set everything to bed for the night and looked at tomorrow's data and give you something, some kind of an update on what could happen on Thursday. Listen. I know I'll put some stuff out earlier on Patreon, but if you live within the sound of my voice, anywhere from the Highlands through Virginia, through the Carolinas, you're all fair game for some snowfall Thursday night. Does it mean I have it in my forecast as a 100% chance? No, far from it. However, the pattern looks decent, and it's one of the more decent patterns that we've had this year. We've had a couple similar patterns. This one could be a little better depending on where everything lines up, and we'll talk about that. I just want to show you some of the latest model data. So let me thank my sponsors first. Computers in Roanoke. If you have an issue with like your Windows not working anymore, we had an issue with our computer here at the station, you can call Computers in Roanoke and say that you heard or saw their advertisement on meteorologist Jamie Singleton's page, or just say Jamie. Ken's going to give you 20% off. So if you need a computer worked on or anything, I think that's a pretty good deal. And he's only doing that for people that follow this page and this social media. So tell him thanks and appreciate what he's doing. What I'm doing costs money. This streaming thing costs money because I'm streaming to like 6 different outlets right now. So we have to pay for that too. Haven Strategies, good for if you want a website built or social media marketing, you kind of want to do what I'm doing. Give those folks a look up there on the website, havenstrategies.com. And Seal Tight Basement Waterproofing, they've been around for a long time and they're well established. I think they've already gotten some feedback. We do some rainfall amounts with those guys just to get things out there. So I want to thank our sponsors so much because definitely we're at a time of need. So this is what's going on, and as I turn the monitor here, you can see this is the Euro. I might have to move things around from time to time, but you've got this pattern that sets up. Instead of going north and south, jet stream's going west to east, and that is inherently unstable, meaning that at some point you can't just have the cold right up over the warm. Something has to give. We call that baroclinic instability. And when you see it like that, there's going to be something that develops right along the temperature boundary. And I'm showing the heights. I should probably show you the, let's see, if I can do 850 temperatures here. And I can. All right, so this is, I will put this forward into the time that we're looking for. Let's go with Thursday morning. And I'm going to move it right up there. So right above my head, if you're watching on the other platforms, right there is a purple line. That's the rain-snow line. If you put moisture south of that line, you're going to get either a wintry mix or rain. If you throw moisture north of that purple line above my head that goes all the way out here to Asheville and scoots across Charlotte and Raleigh, Durham, in that area, it looks like the Outer Banks as well, that's where you could get snow. So it's cold enough air for snow. It's just kind of parked up here across the Northeast, and actually it's in a pretty good position if you ask me. It's not perfect, but you don't need it quite perfect this time of the year when you're just trying to get something to pop up. So what happens in the late Thursday and Friday is a small ripple develops on the jet stream. They come off of the Colorado Rockies and they move into these disturbances, move over an area of temperature contrast like we talked about, and that can get something going. So I want to show you this. This is the main reason I'm on the air tonight. This is the Zero Z NAM, hot off the presses. And you can see two things. Our Seal Tight folks waterproofing your basements because we do have yet more rain on the way tomorrow. The good news is that the amounts are going to be light, so about 1/4 of an inch or less. Some areas may see about 1/3 of an inch, but this is a progressive rain. It will start raining tomorrow by noon. It will be over with at some point around midnight tomorrow night, so it may last into the evening and overnight hours. Once this rain moves through, it's important because it will be the catalyst for our next storm system. It'll hand the baton off like in a relay. That arm will extend out and it will become railroad tracks for the boxcar to travel on and maybe form a storm. So when that happens, you start to see here what's going on out in Colorado, way above my head there. You've got the cold coming down around this big, massive high. You've got snow developing in Texas. The Gulf of Mexico is opening up. All kinds of things are happening just because of one small ripple. If I were to try to dig into the ground with a something, like a corkscrew type thing, but instead of the corkscrew, I had just a plate, I wouldn't do much digging, would I? That's the same thing with the atmosphere. If you have a flat surface moving into a flat surface, nothing happens. The beauty of the atmosphere is isotropes, potential temperature. And so when you move warm air into cold air, it glides upward. It follows the potential temperature lines. When you move vice versa, cold down into warm, that air sinks. So now we're creating, just by spinning the air, in the pattern that we're in, we're creating rising and sinking motion. And remember, it's still spinning too, so moisture gets involved. You're also evacuating the air from below. It's a domino effect. You get one little ripple, you get the movement of the air, and all this kind of happens at one point. You end up with a low pressure system. And now you've got temperatures that are cold enough to snow in the Carolinas as early as Thursday morning. Even Tennessee here, in the mountains of Georgia here, showing some snow. This NAM here is going a little bullish. Now the NAM isn't going to be quite as accurate this far out, but I did want to show it to you. So there you can see the snow in the Carolinas and moves up into Virginia. And I may be screaming into this mic, I'm not sure. But this is not set in stone, but it gives you an idea of what's possible. So you can have snow covering a good part of the Old Dominion. And if you don't see yourself in the snow, don't worry. I told you not to worry about the details because they're going to change. What I posted earlier didn't have much snow at all in Virginia, and now the NAM does. I expected that because of the pattern that we're in. This is going to change about 8 to 12 more times. I just want you to know that the pattern is there. You see it above my head, and then as we go out in time, let's see if I can get you a better view here. We start to see better chances of snow. And we'll talk about those chances here in just a little bit. And then I'm going to make some graphics and head to bed and get the forecast out. Be ready for tomorrow's updates, right? So if you look closely at the forecast, let me pivot it back over this way so you can see it better. This is tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, Tuesday night. Wednesday's going to be just cloudy. That rain's going to be to our south. Here comes the cold, slowly kind of sneaking up on it. It's not really blasting in here, but it's creeping in as if it were trying to surprise us with the snow. But we know better now in these days, and we may not down the road. But as we go into Thursday, it's cold enough to snow by the morning hours, and right about that time is when we should start to see a little bit of a ripple and a storm form down here across Asheville, North Carolina. It could be weak. If it's weaker, it's going to be just a real quick burst that'll go from I-40, basically, from west to east. Won't have much north and south movement. If it's stronger, and that's what you're hoping for in Virginia, if this thing can get stronger, we'll have more northward moisture thrown up into this thing, and then we'll have snow here. And that's what the NAM is suggesting, is that we could see this strengthen. Notice down here over the Seal-Tight logo, you could thank our sponsor for strengthening the surface low on the NAM. It may be a bias of the NAM, we'll wait and see. But it does handle surface features a little differently. There's higher resolution though, and you get more in the way of snow. That just goes to show you one of the scenarios that could play out. This is probably one of the snowiest scenarios that could play out. And we'll have a little fun. Sure, I'll put the snowfall amounts on here. Total snow, let's see. Share, here we go. I don't know, I haven't looked at this yet, so we'll see what this says. We'll go out Wednesday, Thursday, here we go. Okay, so it plops down a lot of snow, pretty much nails North Carolina here with 6 to 8 to 9 to 10 inches of snow. Even in our area, if this model were to be correct 100% right, which it probably won't be, but it gives you an idea of what we're going to be dealing with in the coming days. 4.5 inches for Southside, an inch or two for Rocky Mount, Lynchburg, and maybe Roanoke. The mountainous areas, NRV could see an inch or two out of this. It all depends on where those bands will be setting up. That's just one possible scenario. We have ensembles that we look at as well. And those ensembles are a good way of seeing if there are errors in our, and we know there are, if there are mistakes in the data that we're looking at. Okay, so we have, like, I think on this Euro right here, you're looking at 50 different or 51 different computer models, all averaged together. These are not amounts, they are percentages. But this is the percentage as of 18Z, the in-between run today, of seeing more than an inch of snow. And this is valid. We'll put it back here in motion. This starts putting snow chances up here around mid-morning, noon on Thursday. You can see the farther south you go, you got a better chance. That appears to be the main takeaway right now. Right now it's a Carolina storm. Now it's edging north into Virginia the more I look at it. And for snow lovers, something that I've noticed, and Kevin Myatt will tell you this at the Roanoke Times, you'd rather have a model showing, if you want snow, a model showing snow well to the south, and then at the last minute kind of going north and west. What you don't want to see is it over your area 10 days out or a week out or even 3 days out, because with time they tend to go north and west. So if we can get something south of us and keep it there, we've got a better chance climatologically, historically speaking. We know that that snow is going to blossom a little bit more than what the model shows at the present time. So I think anybody south of DC all the way to Charlotte and in between would need to watch for the possibility of accumulating wet snow Thursday, and that's Thursday night. It's out of here for Saturday or for Friday, going into Saturday. So, and you know, you've got these different ensembles here that show different things. We'll have a little fun. Let me go to Mid-Atlantic. This is a look at all the different kinds, different solutions. You can see a lot of them have the lower amounts. 3 inches is when you see blue. A lot of them do have that in the North Carolina. There's an average here somewhere. Let's see. Snow depth total. Not a very high average. Let's see if I do it this way. That's a little better. So you want to look at placement more than anything, because these models are all averaged together. Remember, the NAM has, you know, some 9-inch amounts here. So somewhere higher than this and lower than the NAM, you know, and an early guess would be 3 or 4 inches for somebody, you know, within the sound of my voice. Could make it up to Charlottesville, could make it up to Winchester. We just don't know quite yet. But I am confident on the pattern coming together. It looks pretty good to me. You can go to my blog on patreon.com. I talk all about this instability, baroclinic instability. And even baroclinic means temperature contrast. Barotropic means no temperature contrast. We also have wind instability with the barotropes, because the jet stream's coming across the south, and thank you, Dell, for doing that in the middle of a broadcast. The jet stream's coming across the south, and that also creates swirl. How can I show you that? There it is. Move this here. Here we go. So this is Wednesday into Thursday. This is the subtropical jet down here meeting up with the polar jet. And so you end up with jet dynamics that also would put us in what we call the right entrance region of the jet Thursday morning. That's going to siphon moisture from below, and it'll help get things going. You've got another jet streak out here that'll help circulation-wise. So these will work in tandem to create the storm system that we're talking about. So that's the latest for right now. I've got to work on a couple of graphics in the 7-day, and drink the rest of my protein shake before I head off to bed. Thanks for checking me out here, and I'll have more updates on Patreon, Facebook, and all the other social media platforms, including Cable 12. We'll have a full update Wednesday morning on Rise and Shine at 7 a.m.